Fire it up, footballers. How y'all doing? A lot to talk to you today. We're going to get into theories of who was Robin Hood. Did he really exist? The Philadelphia experiments and the Navy's files on the Philadelphia experiment. Chicago Fire and MLS action, Chicago Bears, fantasy football, all that and more. Hopefully we can get a couple dubs for you. How y'all doing? Fired up, footballers. What's going on? It's Wednesday. Let's get into it. Let's set the tone. Blast off. Let's go. Fire it up, footballers. How y'all doing? Guys, we have a fun one for you today. We're going to be talking about Robin Hood, the real Robin Hood. Did he exist? A lot of scholarly debate upon who was Robin Hood. And after that, maybe a little, well, not even a maybe, we'll talk about the Philadelphia experiment and what the Navy's files are on that situation. That was, of course, a disappearing ship, possibly transported through time and space. We'll get that, and maybe involving the science of Nikola Tesla and the theories of Albert Einstein. As unbelievable as it may sound, there's a US file up on it, and we'll get into that and more. How y'all doing, guys? Some fun stuff to talk to you guys about. Yeah. Hello. So, Robin Hood, one of the greatest, coolest legends, mythologies that all of us know, whether you live in Britain, where it's based out of, or in America, or in some sort of Western civilization, or maybe even out in China. I'm sure you've heard of Robin Hood, and out in the Eastern world. I mean, it just, such is how far traveling and the power of the tale that is Robin Hood. Taking from the rich to give to the poor, it's just an internal motif that does not go away, and once that genie is out of the bag, real hard to put out. Oh, this is cool. So, chat. Oh, I got a little, I got a little 10 here I could throw down. If only Robin Hood would have been so lucky back in his day. I do not want to pick that up. With Junk Rift, I'll pick that up. Let me do a couple clicks here. So, Robin Hood, guys. Let's get into it. I got some awesome stuff for you, in addition to fantasy football, who you need to pick up this week, because I'm gonna have gems that are still available right now that you could go steal for the future. It's only week 1, and there's a lot of information that's already out there, and some people are not acting upon it properly. They fall into a lot of the hoodwink, the hood spa, the rigmarole, the echo chamber. I've got some new ideas, some fresh ideas in the fantasy sphere that I will share with you if you guys are interested in that. Of course, guys, check the timestamps. I always have everything in the timestamps below if you guys ever want to skip ahead or look for some certain part of our content. But the real Robin Hood, of course. Did he exist? Most contemporary scholars have failed to turn up solid clues. Medieval chroniclers took for granted that a historical Robin Hood lived and breathed during the 12th or the 13th century. Who that could have been? Got a really good candidate that I don't know a lot of people have really put forth before. And I've done the research, and there's loose connections, but everyone says, oh, they're strong, and this one seems to be the strongest connection. The details on their academic accounts vary widely. However, placing them in conflicting regions and eras, of course, has to do with the matter of England, which is the history, how England came to be and its lore. Oh, I've been here before, of course. Oh, that was really cool, actually. Let's head on up. And we'll fly away, fly away. Ha ha ha! Blinken! Back from the war? He'd split Robin's arrow in twine. Grab that shoddy. the subject of ballads, books, and films. Robin Hood has proven to be one of popular culture's most enduring folk heroes. Over the course of 700 years, the outlaw from Nottinghamshire, supposedly, who robs from the rich to give to the poor, has emerged as one of the most enduring folk heroes of our modern era and for the last 700 years. I got an itch on my schnoz. Pick that back up. Oh, we got 2 shotties here? Let's not do it. Head over, go double pump. Rock someone's world with that. Can we get a little more? Somebody around here, all right. Hello. Will you let me? Oh shit, you won't. Oh fuck, I could build. Forgot we could build. Well, this is perfect though. Excuse me for 1 second here, chat. Vicious itch. But over the course of the last 700 years, the outlaw from Nottinghamshire who robs from the rich to give to the poor has emerged as one of the most enduring folk heroes in popular culture. And one of the most versatile. But how has that legend of Sherwood Forest merry outlaws evolved over time? And did a real Robin Hood actually exist to inspire these classic tales? Well, beginning in the 15th century and perhaps even earlier, Christian revelers in certain parts of England celebrated May Day. Of course, May Day, they're running around the maypole celebrating the births of spring, and a pagan tradition going back millennia, over 2 millennia at least, back to the Roman times when they would do such things. With plays and games, orgies, involving a Robin Hood figure. Probably not in here. Maybe back in the Roman times. A Robin Hood figure, and not Robin Hood back in then. It was probably Hercules or somebody else, some other hero that had risen. But maybe based on somebody who had existed in history and who everybody felt at some point, or at least somehow felt the power of or was affected by, to the point where it inspired a near mythical status that we know today as Robin Hood. That has near religious significance. In the 19th century, writers and illustrators like Howard Pyle were adapting the traditional tales for children, popularizing them in the United States and around the world. Well, more recently, though, bringing Robin to the silver screen had become a rite of passage for directors ranging from Michael Curtis to Ridley Scott with Russell Crowe and Terry Gilliam and Mel Brooks. Some great stuff, some great shouts and great movies there. Of course, Monty Python. And of course, Mel Brooks, Robin Hood Men in Tights. Some great stuff there. And maybe even a nod to the Postman, Kevin Costner, and his nod and his turn as an Americanized Robin Hood in England. But throughout Robin's existence, writers, performers, and filmmakers have probed their imaginations for new incarnations that resonate with the respective audience. Now think about that. So throughout time of Robin Hood, this motif, this character has changeable parts that are, you could swap out and make it more attractive and more resonant to the zeitgeist, to the people of the time. Something to keep in mind as we get into who Robin was, or likely was. In the 14th century England, where agrarian discontent had begun to chip away at the feudal system, he appears as an anti-establishment rebel who murders government agents and wealthy landowners. Later variations from times of less social upheaval dispense with the gore and cast Robin as a dispossessed aristocrat with a heart of gold and a love interest named Maid Marian. The potential realistic basis for Maid Marian, I'll also reveal later in this theory. It's quite incredible that this has been literally, in my opinion, sitting in plain sight And in some ways, maybe they don't want it known, or maybe it helps preserve some of that mythological presence of Robin Hood and what he truly means to everyone. Freedom, right? Robin means freedom in some ways. And keep that theme in mind. Freedom from who? Freedom from the tyrannical overlords? Freedom from oppression? This really plays into who Robin likely is in my theory, and I can't wait to share with you guys. Throughout academics, meanwhile, have combed the historical record for evidence of the real Robin Hood. English legal records suggest that as early as the 13th century, by the way, hold on, let me just fix one thing here. As early as the 13th century, Robin Hood or Robin Hood and other variations had become common epithets for criminals. But what had inspired these nicknames? A fictional tale, an infamous bandit, or an amalgamation of both? First literary references to Robin Hood appear in a series of 14th and 15th century ballads about a violent yeoman who lived in Sherwood Forest with his men and frequently clashed with the sheriff of Nottingham. Rather than a peasant, a knight, or fallen noble, as in later versions, the protagonist of these medieval stories is a commoner. Little John and Little Scarlet are part of Robin's merry crew, meaning, at the time, an outlaw's gang, but Maid Marian, Friar Tuck, and Alan Adale would not enter that legend and join that outlaw's gang until later on, possibly as part of May Day rituals and to fit the narrative of the time, to fit the zeitgeist of the time, to fit the people that were telling the stories, that were listening to the stories at the time. Keep that in mind, that how we can change stories, warp stories, adapt stories, retell stories, swap parts out, change meanings, and sometimes wholesale change lore parts to bring out different effects from the stories. Well, while most contemporary scholars have failed to turn up solid clues, medieval chroniclers took for granted that a historical Robin Hood lived and breathed during the 12th or 13th century. I believe he existed, and I think I'm going to share with you who Robin Hood is. The details of their accounts vary widely, placing him in conflicting regions and eras. Not until John Major's History of Greater Britain, written in 1521, for example, is he actually depicted as a follower of King Richard, one of his defining characteristics in modern times. So think about that. One of his defining characteristics that you think about Robin Hood, oh, he supported King Richard. King Richard lived in 1199. He died in 1199. So surely Robin Hood existed then. He was a supporter of Richard. He lived in the time of Richard and somehow was, an effective supporter of him, maybe even went to the Crusades with King Richard, the Lionheart. Right? So this is where some of those theories, of course, come from. But we may never know for sure whether Robin Hood ever existed outside the verses of ballads and pages of books, and I actually think he did. And even if we did, fans young and old would surely flock to England's Nottinghamshire region for a tour of the legends. I don't think it actually has anything to do with Sherwood Forest. Well, Sherwood Forest later enters a lot of these things later enter the legend to make it better fit, because Robin Hood, guys, his real name was Robert Fitzwalter. He was one of the leaders of the baronial opposition against King John, one of the 25 sureties that signed the Magna Carta, that made sure King John signed the Magna Carta. What is the Magna Carta, you ask? Oh, just one of the official documents of certifying freedom in England that existed before the Constitution, before the Bill of Rights. It essentially was an agreement between the barons and most of the people and the king, that the king had to follow the law and that he couldn't just do what he pleased anymore. That's essentially what it boils down to, is created in 1215, the 13th century. The same years that Robin Hood existed. Robin Hood, the bastion of freedom, the creator, the guy who in England, they associate with freedom from oppression. Who was Robin Hood? Was he none other than Robert Fitzwalter? One of the feudal barons from Little Dunmow, Essex, a constable in Baynard's Castle in London, which was going to be annexed to the hereditary office of Castellan and Chief Knight Baronet of the City of London? Was it Robert Fitzwalter, part of the official aristocracy created by Henry I and Henry II? The same Robert Fitzwalter that served John in the wars in Normandy? Did Robin Hood serve Little John? Not Little John, but did Robin Hood serve John, Prince John, in Normandy? If he was Robert Fitzwalter, he did. In which he was taken prisoner by King Philip of France and forced to pay a heavy ransom. Fitzwalter was implicated in the baronial conspiracy of 1212, 3 years before the Magna Carta. According to his own statement, King John had attempted to seduce Fitzwalter's eldest daughter. Possibly Robin Hood's eldest daughter. But Robert's account of his grievances varied from time to time. The truth seems to be that he was irritated by the suspicion with which John regarded the new baronage. Fitzwalter escaped a trial by fleeing to France. He was outlawed. Tell me if you heard that before. He was outlawed. And tell me if you heard this before. But returned under special amnesty. This after John's reconciliation with Pope Innocent, which we'll talk about later. Are you starting to put together the clues here? I got more bangers for you. I got... What's up, Angus? What's up? We're talking Robin Hood theory today, along with a little Philadelphia experiment and the Navy's files, little sports, little MLS, little soccer, little fantasy. What is going on, everybody? Stories are changed when the world's predominant religions suddenly change. That's true. And I'll talk more about the world's religions and what they might have to do with the Philadelphia experiment later on here. I'm going to continue on with the Robin Hood expose as we learn more about Robert Fitzwalter, the potential person that Robin Hood is based off on that nobody knows about. Nobody realizes, nobody puts this together. But if you go to the Wikipedia page for First Baron's War, right there on the right side, you'll see a list of commanders and leaders that were against the Kingdom of England right there in 1215 to 1217 that made the king sign the Magna Carta, thus ensuring freedom for citizens of Britain, of United Kingdom, of England. Wait, so who led the charge of this, you ask? Robert? Robert Fitzwalter? Or you mean Robin Hood? It gets juicier. It gets juicier. So, Fitzwalter continued, however, to take the lead in the baronial agitation against King John. Maybe if you heard that before. Robin Hood continued to take the lead in agitation with his merry men against the king. And upon the outbreak of hostilities in 1215 was elected Marshal of the Army of God and Holy Church. And it was due to his influence in London that Robert Fitzwalter's party obtained the support of the city and used it as their base of operations. The clause in the Magna Carta prohibiting sentences of exile, except as the result of a lawful trial, refers more particularly to his case. He was one of the 25 barons appointed to enforce the promises of Magna Carta, and his aggressive attitude was one of the causes which contributed to the revival of civil war later on in 1215. He was also one of the envoys who invited Prince Louis England, and was one of the first barons to do homage when King Louis entered London. Slighted by the French as a traitor to his natural lord, he served King Louis with fidelity until he was captured at the Battle of Lincoln in May 1217. Released on the conclusion of peace, he joined the Fifth Crusade, but returned at an early date to make his peace with the Regency. The remainder of his life was uneventful, and he died peacefully in 1235. He was the father of 3 children. Matilde? Curious. Robert and Christina. Christina, of course, who married William Fitzgeoffrey de Mandeville, 3rd Earl of Essex, and he's remembered. But Robert Fitzwalter is also remembered as a champion of English liberty, and has also become associated with various legends, including that of Robin Hood. Chat. Nothing in the rest of this article says anything of that could be Robin Hood, but there are little signs that indicate that he is the basis. He's one of the basis for Robin Hood. Now, I think the thing about Robin Hood is, I think when you look into the history of Robin Hood, he's an amalgamation of people. He's an amalgamation of tales. He's an amalgamation of myths. He's an amalgamation of things that fit the time and fit the audience of the time and the zeitgeist of the time, especially the audience that was locked in a civil war, trying to get the king to obey the rules that everybody else had to obey and secure rights for the entire citizenry of United Kingdom, which was up until that point still dead, stuck in the feudal system, and still would be for some time after. Is this the basis for Robin Hood? I think so. I think this is where Robin Hood comes from. I got more about that too. It's nuts. This is, of course, from National Geographic. Stealing from the rich to give to the poor, Robin Hood and his merry men are a permanent part of popular culture. Set in England during the reign of King Richard the Lionheart, which I think Robert was really 15 years later after King Richard the Lionheart. Like, they're connected by 15 years and King John, but I think that's kind of where it kind of just happens to fit, because King Lionheart, good king. King John, bad king, right? That's kind of like with the cutoff. So surely Robin Hood supported the good king, right? Especially because he went against the bad king and made him sign an agreement later. Him and his merry men. Who do you think, chat? Who do you think is Robin Hood? There are theories. Robert Fitzooth being one. There are quite a few. I mean, there's. Let's see. We got Robert Hood of York. Could be John Davil and his brother Robert, and their kinsmen Jocelyn and Adam during the Second Barons' War. I think it's Robert Fitzwalter in the First Barons' War as the basis, and also the reason that they have the Magna Carta. How incredible. I think this is sitting right in front of people's faces, and for some reason they can't. There's other things like this too that I think that we have the ability to solve a few of these mysteries that we think we can't solve. The answers are there. It's sorting through the bullshit. It's getting through the malarkey. It's about moving through the possibilities and getting into the realm of probabilities. And when you can get more probable, because we know people, we know how humans, technology may have changed, but humans haven't in general. Our desires. I mean, you could go to that one scene in Jurassic Park and you'll see what you'll know exactly what everybody wants to do. It's Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, where Chris Pratt's talking to the Claire character, and he says, you know, all these dinosaurs, they want to hunt, they want to live, and they want to. That was what he wanted to do to Claire at that time as well. Interesting to note. But what I got in here? A little gun. Oh. All right, come on, give it to me. All right. Oop. So back to Robin Hood here in just a second here, chat. That's all right. Oh, there he is. Ooh. You didn't see me. There's another guy over there. Look at that. That's a real guy. I don't know if he knows that the other guy's there. I think there's 3 guys there. Okay. Anybody else there? Or... Well, I'll check it out. Gotta change guns here. Whew. Hi, buddy. Excuse me. All right, back to the story of Robin Hood. Well, the story has, of course, been around centuries, and stealing from the rich to give to the poor, Robin Hood and his merry men are a permanent part of popular culture. Set in England during the reign of King Richard, the adventures of Robin Hood follow the noble thief as he woos the beautiful maid Marian, possibly based off his daughter, off of Robert Fitzwalter's daughter, Matilda, which is apparently some sort of Welsh derivative of Marian. Let's see. Legacy. A large legendary romantic history gradually gathered around the memory of Fitzwalter as the first champion of English liberty. A picturesque tale first found in the manuscript Chronicle of Dunmouth tells how Fitzwalter had a very beautiful daughter named Matilda, who indignantly rejected the immoral advances of King John. At last, as the maiden proved obdurate, John caused her to be poisoned, so that the bitterest sense of personal wrong drove Fitzwalter to take up the part of a constitutional leader. So generally was the story believed that an alabaster figure on a gray altar tomb in the Priory Church in Little Dunmouth is still sometimes pointed out as an effigy to this unfortunate Matilda. Several poems and plays have been based upon the picturesque romance in that Matilda is curiously mixed up with Maid Marian, the mistress of Robin Hood. Such are the 1601 plays of Henry Chattel and Anthony Munday, cited called The Downfall of Robert, Earl of Huntington, afterwards called Robin Hood, with his love to chaste Matilda, the Lord Fitzwalter's daughter. Afterwards his fair maid Marian, and the death of Robin Hood, and the lamentable tragedy of chaste Matilda, his fair maid Marian, poisoned by Dunmow by King John. That's the title. Michael Drayton also published in 1594 a poetical account called Matilda the Fair and Chaste Daughter of the Lord Robert Fitzwalter, as well as 2 letters in verse purporting to be written by her and King John. Before 1639, Robert Davenport wrote another play, The Tragedy of King John and Matilda. So it seems that Fitzwalter's daughter has been intertwined into the Maid Marian legend somehow. But yet, Fitzwalter is not intertwined into the Robin Hood legend as much as made Merritt to see this doesn't make sense, especially because he is the first champion of English liberty. But is he the first champion of English liberty? Is Robert Fitzwalter, or is Robin Hood truly the first champion of English liberty? And therefore also based off Robert Fitzwalter. I mean, truly, I think this is, we're onto something here, chat. It's also believed that in the 17th century, that Robert Fitzwalter, or one of his successors, was the founder of the filch of bacon custom in Little and Great Dunmow. Fitzwalter and King John are the two central characters in the comic monologue of Magna Carta by Marriott Edgar, and that's about all that the Wikipedia has to say about it, but still. Like the roots of Sherwood Forest, the origins of Robin Hood's story extend deep into English history. His name can be found all over the English map, in fact. Robin Hood's Cave, Robin Hood's Stoop in Derbyshire, Robin Hood's Well in Barnesdale Forest, Yorkshire, Robin Hood's Bay, also in Yorkshire. When the story is traced back to its 14th or 13th century beginnings, the figure of Robin Hood changes with the times. The earliest versions would be almost unrecognizable when compared to the green-clad, bow-wielding Robin Hood of today. As the centuries passed, the tale of Robin Hood evolved, as England evolved. And with each new iteration of Robin Hood, the Robin Hood legend would absorb new characters, new settings, new traits, evolving to the familiar legend that we know today. I gotta show you this, though. I gotta show you Robert Fitzwalter's coat of arms. You guys, this... Some people wonder, I wonder if there's a loose connection here to why they may say he's a bow wielder, why Robin Hood's a bow wielder. Well, is it perhaps because... Is it perhaps because of his crest? Robert Fitzwalter's crest? Archway? 90 degrees, ruler, mason, Masonic, angles, bow and arrow. Do we see an arrow with a tail and a top with a triangle? So is that a triangle with an arrow? And is that where we get the bow and arrow? Something to think about. Back to the story. Well, as the centuries pass, the tale of Robin Hood has evolved, as England has evolved, as the world has evolved, and also gotten its hooks into the Robin Hood story and made it its own in various iterations and cultures. Well, with each new iteration, the Robin Hood legend would absorb new characters, new settings, new traits. So what started as Robin Hood back in the 13th century and the 14th century, the Robin Hood we have today. Does this mean that Robert is our Robin Hood? I think he's the most obvious candidate, to be honest. When I think Robin Hood, I think, you know, the folkloric hero of English freedom. And when you remove the folkloric part, you get Robert, the real person, Robert Fitzwalter. So literally you say that same phrase, you remove the folklore hero and to a real hero who existed and helped beat the king, helped made him sign the Magna Carta, helped certify rights for English commoners. That's Robert Fitzwalter. Literally, you change one sentence, one part of the sentence, and the legend of Robin Hood becomes a real person named Robert Fitzwalter. There's something there. There's something there. There's a shred. There's a sniff. There's a whiff. Making the case. Who was Robert Fitzwalter? Well, he was a lord. He was the son of Walter Fitzrobert, of Woodham Walter, and his wife Maud, or Matilde, the daughter of Richard de Lucy of Dis, a de Lucy family member. Robert was a feudal baron of the 4th generation after the Norman conquest, great-grandson of Richard Fitzgilbert. His paternal grandfather was Richard Fitzgilbert's son, Robert Fitzrichard, steward of Henry I. See, all these names mean nothing. Whatever. Who cares? The fact of the matter is, Robert's an important person, a very important person, and what he's known to do is also what Robin Hood was known to do. Also, who was the group that took on the King of England during the First Barons' War? Did we see the Merry Men in this group of commanders and leaders? Did we see did we see Will Scarlet and the Serre de Quincy? Or Will Marshall? William Marshall, Will Scarlet. His son, of course, Richard Marshall. You do the math. Then also, I scroll down here a little farther and I see, what's this? Eustace the Monk? Well, didn't Friar Tuck help out Robin Hood? And once again, this is reappropriating, changing of the myth, changing of the stories to better fit with the times. But did someone change Friar Tuck or Eustace the Monk, who was basically kind of like a pirate brigand, into Friar Tuck? Eustace the Monk, born Eustace Busket, back in 1170 to 1217 is when he existed, was a mercenary and pirate in the tradition of medieval outlaws. The birthplace of Eustace was not far from Boulogne. A 1243 document later mentions that Guillaume Clément, Seigneur de Cos, which indicates the family lived in that vicinity. So what does that mean? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what it does mean is that Eustace the Monk, is that the basis for Friar Tuck? And do we have Will Scarlet and the Serre de Quincy? And do we also have Little John as John, King John? And just another John enters the story. And he becomes Little John. Oh, he's his buddy now because they were buddies. They were buddies for a time. He supported Little John. He went to war with Little John, but then later went to war against Little John. Of course, we're talking about Fitzwalter, but are we also talking about Robin Hood? See what I'm talking about? This is nuts. Nuts that people haven't made these connections before. I mean, it's all here for us. In the History Channel article, in the National Geographic article, on the Encyclopedia Britannica articles, and also in these scholarly articles that I've been investigating. On JSTOR. So there's another folktale from along the same time, literally the same time, but it's from France. It's kind of about France, but it's also about England. It's about France and England. It's the story of Fulk Fitzwarren. Who was Fulk Fitzwarren? Well, he was a real person. Fulk Fitzwarren's rare in spellings, well, it doesn't really matter, but the fact of the matter was that in his young life, early in the reign of King John, he won notoriety as an outlaw leader of a roving force striving to recover his familial right to Whittington Castle in Shropshire, which John had granted away to a Welsh claimant. Progressively rehabilitated and enjoying his lordship, he endured further setbacks in 1215 to 1217. Listen to this. This Fulk Fitzwarren, his land was given away by King John. Is this another part of the Robin Hood mythos that gets rolled up into it? I think so. I think parts of this get rolled up into the Robin Hood mythos as well. Therefore, after his connections with the court of Lewin ap Iorwerth and his usefulness to the English king placed him in the midst of a larger conflict in which he lost Whittington to Lewin for a year back in 1223 to 1224, though that prince was said to have married his daughter. So unsure. During the 1220s, though, Fulk founded Albury Priory in Shropshire, which became the smallest and last established of the three English houses dependent upon the Order of Grandmont. What does the Order of Grandmont has to do with a religious priory of founded by Saint Stephen of Thiers? And they just tried to write books, but nobody really wrote any good books for them, basically, is what they say. Like, they tried to write some good books, They weren't good at it. Always ready to defend his rights, though, Fulk Fitzwarren lived to a ripe old age and was buried at Alderbury beside his 2 wives, leaving heirs and daughters and a plentiful posterity, among whose name of Fulk Fitzwarren was continuously renewed in later centuries. His grandson, in fact, was Fulk V. Fitzwarren, and the first Baron Fitzwarren, 1251-1351. Wow, he lived 100 years. Almost 100 years. No, 50 years. 65. You do the math. After his death, Fulk became the subject of a popular ancestral romance in French verse, Fulk de Fitzwarren, relating his life as an outlaw and his struggle to regain his patrimony from the king. So a folklore came about in France called Fulk de Fitzwarren right along the same times as the folklore for Robin Hood came along. Were these jealous British folk that just needed their own? This survives in a prose version, so that's out there. But did the British need their own Fook? And they have one in Robert? Did they have one in Robin Hood? Pretty incredible, chat. Pretty incredible. So I've laid out the argument, the idea, the theory. If you guys have any ideas, if you guys have any candidates for Robin Hood, other than Robert Fitzwalter, let us know, and let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Love to read your comments. Love to hear your theories. Because this one is a cool one. This one is a real cool one. I mean, who was Robin Hood? Did he really exist? Was he someone else? Was he Robert Hood of York? Was he Roger Godbird? Was he Robin Hood of Wakefield? Was it an alias? Was he Robert of Fitzooth, an English lord, right around the time of the 1200s and 1100s. Robert Fitzooth. Well, let's take a look at him. Alleged dates, of course, 1160 to 1247. So here's the thing: alleged. All these things, all these other people that they're throwing out there, they're like, yeah, this guy, he might be. Look, we gotta take a closer look at Robert Fitzwalter, and if he is Robin Hood, I think I am over the target here. I mean, you look at there's some signs here that just make me feel like, there's something to this. All right. Do you guys want to talk Philadelphia experiment? Or you guys want to talk MLS? Little fantasy football, get into all that. Chicago Bears. Click that. Bam Bam MoneyGram. Stories are changed when the world's predominant religions suddenly change. Doing fine. Let's get better. Philadelphia experiment. What the was that? Wasn't that something that happened in 1943? I'll let you know, chat. Go down. Ooh, I think we got nope. Some tape here. Bullets. Okay. Bullets. Still need health, and I wouldn't mind shields. No shields. Okay. So wouldn't mind shields. Trying to will them into existence here. Oh, we got bullets fired. We'll go investigate. Oh, shields. Make it so we can at least take a shot at. Look at that. We can at least take an extra shot. Depending on what kind of weapon it is. Chicago Fire pretty much eliminated from MLS playoff contention. It's over. It's over. Did they put up a good fight? You tell me. And who was that fight on? Like, if they did put a good fight, Who put up a good fight? Gaga Slonina put up a good fight. Individuals put up a good fight. That's certainly true. But did the team, did Georg Heitz, did Ezra Hendrickson truly put forth their best efforts? I think, yeah, for Ezra Hendrickson, this being his first effort, it of course is going to be his best effort. He's putting his all into this, but all might not be enough, fortunately. Oh, we got some, yeah, why not? We could use a upgraded loot, right? God, I like that. Keep that. That way I can run around with, pretty sure somewhere up here. Yes, there it is. Oh, those are fun. Free in here? I'll take that. Where we are. Moving into the zone. Not seeing anybody. I'm looking up Philadelphia experiment online to refresh my mind. So we're about to get into it. But and I also have the naval files. I mean, the Navy has files on this. I am on the Navy's website. history.navy.mil/research/library/online-reading-room/title-list-alphabetically/p/slash-Philadelphia-experiment.html. Now, allegedly, in the fall of 1943, a U.S. Navy destroyer named the USS Eldridge was made invisible and transported from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Norfolk, Virginia in an incident known as the Philadelphia experiment. Did this happen? Is this rumor, is this myth based on some sort of shred of truth, as most myths are, as most legends are? Got some shocking revelations. Yeah. Shocking. Conspiracy Corner Wednesday. Yeah. That's fun. Maybe over here. I can pick you up. I like that. Ooh, better shotgun. Pick it up. The wheels. Let's pick up these wheels and put them on. Oh shit. Ah! All right. We will continue spectating, and I will explain Philadelphia experiment. Well, records in Naval Archives branch of the Naval History and Heritage Command have been repeatedly searched, but no documents have been located which confirm the event or any interest by the Navy in attempting such achievement outside of this article on Naval History and Heritage Command on history.navy.mil. M-I-L. The ship involved in the experiment was supposedly the USS Eldridge, which supposedly still existed and was decommissioned later back in like the 50s, not too long after its existence started, curiously enough. So like it started up and they're like, yeah, we don't need that anymore. Let's give that away. Let's sell that to Greece. More on that later. The archives has reviewed the deck log and war diary from the USS Eldridge, commissioning on 27th August 1943 at the New York Navy Yard through December 1943, and there's no missing time there. We assure you. We checked. The following description of the Eldridge's activities are summarized from the ship's war diary. After commissioning, Eldridge remained in New York and the Long Island Sound until 16th of September, when it sailed to Bermuda. And the 18th September, it went to the ship's yard in Bermuda and undergo training and sea trials until October, when it left for New York, and then a convoy, and then it remained in New York until November, and it was part of an escort convoy, and then it went into November, and then in November, and then it was Casablanca, and then in November, and then in November, and then it left as one of the escorts back in December at New York Harbor, and Eldridge remained in New York in accountability training and Block Island Sound into December, and back to when it steamed to Norfolk with 4 other ships. During this time frame, Eldridge was never in Philadelphia. A copy of Eldridge's complete World War II action report and war diary coverage, including remarks section of the 1943 decalogue, is held by the archives on microfilm. That's under NRS 1978-26. The original file is held by the National Archives. You could go ahead and take a look at that. Undoctored. Supposedly, the crew of the civilian merchant ship SS Andrew Furuseth observed the arrival via teleportation of the Eldridge in the Norfolk area. Let me just read that to you again. This is the Navy file. Supposedly, the crew of the civilian merchant ship, the SS Andrew Furuseth, observed the arrival via teleportation of the USS Eldridge into the Norfolk area. Norfolk. Andrew Furuseth's movement report cards are in the 10th Fleet records in the custody of the Modern Military Branch National Archives and Records Administration, which are located in College Park, Maryland, which also has custody of the action reports, war diaries, and decalogues of all World War II Navy ships, including the Eldridge. The movement report cards list the merchant ship's ports of call, the dates of each visit, and the convoy designation, if any. The movement report card shows that the Andrew Furuseth left Norfolk with convoy UGS-15 on 16th August 1943 and arrived at Casablanca on 2nd of September. The ship left Casablanca on 19th September and arrived off Cape Henry on October 4th. The Andrew Furuseth then left Norfolk with the convoy UGS-22 on 25th of October and arrived at Oran on the 12th of November. The ship remained in the Mediterranean until it returned with the convoy GUS-25 to Hampton Roads on 17 January 1944. The archives has a letter from Lieutenant Junior Grade William S. Dodge, USNR retired, the master of the Andrew Furuseth, in 1943, categorically denying that he or his crew observed any unusual event while in Norfolk. Eldridge and Andrew Furuseth were not even in Norfolk at the same time. This is, of course, according to the Navy records here. The Office of Naval Research has stated that the use of force fields to make a ship and her crew invisible does not conform to known physical laws. ONR also claims that Dr. Albert Einstein's unified field theory was never completed. During 1943 to 1944, Einstein was part-time consultant for the Navy and the Navy's Bureau of Ordnance, undertaking theoretical research on explosives and explosions and technology. There is no indication that Einstein was involved in research relevant to invisibility or to teleportation. If you were the U.S. government, would you have Einstein working on teleportation and invisibility? Which, gotta say, kind of sound like they'd be in Einstein's wheelhouse. If I was drafting Einstein, I want him on that. What about Tesla? Well, the Philadelphia experiment has also been called Project Rainbow. Well, how do we know that? History.navy.mil. Where are you pulling that Project Rainbow out? Well, a comprehensive search of the archives has actually failed to identify records of a Project Rainbow relating to teleportation or making a ship disappear. But In the 1940s, the codename Rainbow was used to refer to the Rome-Berlin-Tokyo axis. The Rainbow plans were the war plans to defeat Italy, Germany, and Japan. In fact, Rainbow V, the plan in effect on 7th December 1941 when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, was the plan the US used to fight the Axis powers. So is that where Project Rainbow comes from? The origin of the idea of Project Rainbow back in 1940s also being involved? Or were the US involved in trying to research different technologies to try and win the war? Clandestine technologies. Some that have still yet to reach the light of day. Some that have. You tell me, chat. Tell me if you got any ideas. Some researchers have erroneously concluded. Ooh, DPG coming to talk a little fire. Heck yeah, DPG. Boom. It is open. We'll be talking Chicago Fire, MLS, and DPG. But before we get to that, we'll conclude our Philadelphia experiment talk discussion. Some researchers have erroneously concluded that degaussing has a connection with making an object invisible. Now, degaussing is a process which a system of electrical cables are installed around the circumference of ship's hull, running from bow to stern on both sides. A measured electrical current is then passed through these cables to cancel out the ship's magnetic field. Degaussing equipment was installed in the hull of Navy ships and could be turned on whenever that ship was in waters that actually might contain magnetic mines, usually shallow waters in combat areas, you know. It could be said that degaussing, correctly done, makes a ship invisible to the sensors of magnetic mines, but the ship remains visible to the human eye, radar, and underwater listening devices. After many years of researching, the staff of the archives and independent researchers have not located any official documents that support the assertion that an invisibility or teleportation experiment involving a Navy ship occurred at Philadelphia or any other location. End. Published Monday, November 20th, 2017. Chat, listen to this.
It uncovered invisibility, it covered mind control, it covered eventually the time tunnels at Montauk. But in the Vietnam era, there was a lot of strange hardware and projects tested. That was really a 10-year testing ground for the military and for the CIA and for another.
It's not out of hand to think that they'd be testing military technology during Vietnam. Technologies that we might not even know about to this day still. 50 years on, 50 plus, 60 plus years on from the 60s. I mean, think about that. They're definitely back in the 40s. There's stuff that they still probably haven't released.
A number of things. You mentioned, why can't they make an army invisible? Well, let me go a little step further and tell you I talked with a person who ran the equipment over in Vietnam. It was about 1965, where he was given this collection of hardware, what appeared to be fence posts, perhaps this high, maybe that diameter, stood on a self-supporting pedestal.
Like a fence post, like a rod, or just a harmless-looking stick-looking thing. What does this fence post do is the question, and why would you be installing it and be using it in time of war?
He was told to put them out on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, 2 on either side at a north point, and 2 more on either side, maybe half a mile further south. There were no connecting wires. There was a...
It's kind of weird that they're just like, you know, arbitrarily, you know, you set it here, set it there. Right. Once again, it's got to pass the sniff test, and some of the stories might not pass the sniff test, so let's sniff it out.
Console to control these 4 posts, if you will, perfectly visible while the equipment was off. He was told what procedures were to turn the equipment on. He did his console. There were no connecting wires. There was no visible source of power. And the post became invisible, and nothing looked any different.
Oh,
But
say that
that's a
again?
post.
Connecting wires, there was no visible source of power.
So there's no power to these posts. There's nothing. They just put up these seemingly log-like things, these small structures, and just put them out there. This is 1965. Nothing's connected. They got something that looks like a controller module that controls something.
And the post became invisible, and
After you
nothing looked
turn it
any
on.
different.
So you turned it on and the posts become invisible? Oh, okay. So what did they do now?
But that's a post, not a human.
The post became invisible, nobody could see them. What was the purpose? This was on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The purpose was to make Ho Chi Minh members of North Korea disappear.
What? What?
Yes.
DPG.
Yes. Are we talking fire tonight?
Dude, we could definitely talk fire tonight. After let me close down conspiracy corner.
No, no worries, no worries. Let me give me about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I'll get back on, all right? Just wanna make sure
we're good to go. But all right. We'll see you in a few then.
All right, bye.
As they came down the trail, and they did. It was on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The purpose was to make Ho Chi Minh members of North Korea disappear as they came down the trail, and they did.
An attack, right? So they wanted to hide these soldiers.
Sale. They would walk into this area, and they vanished, and nobody ever saw them again. Unfortunately, the field started to expand, and they started getting American troops, at which point the equipment was shut down and removed.
You know, I don't remember where I've heard that, but I've heard that somewhere before, maybe English.
Well, without using names, I've talked with one of the people involved directly with that project.
I can't remember where I heard it. Maybe
So
I
where'd they go?
always think about when.
Into another
Oblivion.
dimension, someplace, I don't know where. This equipment, from what was described to me, probably was not built here, because it had no surfaces of where it was connected, where it was attached, where it was welded, riveted, totally smooth surfaces, no visible source of power, no interconnections.
So, in other words, you're saying then it may have been alien. of
It
some
may
kind.
have been alien equipment. Since I never saw it, I don't know.
That's interesting, chat. This is Al Bielik. I don't know if he's trustworthy or whatnot. I certainly wouldn't trust any of these people more than you could throw them, right? But it's an interesting idea and thought theory, basically. Like, aliens existing, do they exist? Have they here? Philadelphia Project, is that possible? Would they try that if they had Tesla and Einstein available? And how come? Doesn't it seem like science has gone back in the bad? Like it's almost been sterilized. Like how come we don't have any of that fantastic thinking anymore? It seems it's all engineering nowadays. It's definitely engineering is huge, but like where's the crazy scientific minds like of Tesla? And what are they doing? They're all working for these governments, I'm sure, what is it? The DARPA. Which is nuts. Makes you wonder. It truly makes you wonder. What's possible, what's secret, what's true, if the Philadelphia Project actually happened, or if they're, they're like kind of winking at us. Because it kind of feels like they're winking at us, doesn't it? Anybody? Oh shit. Yeah. Oh shit. Woo! Dip and dodge, dip and dodge. Can't see me. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Yeah, let's heal. Do, 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 do. Woo! Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Can I pick that up, please? Drink, drink, drink. Give me some health. We're good. We're good, we're good, we're good. For the moment, anyway. Can I get some bullets, or am I not allowed? Oh, shit, I definitely need that. That's my good gun. Yeah, why not? Are you trying to land on me? Are you trying to land on me? You don't know what you're asking for. Oh shit. Your ass better call somebody. What? You didn't know? Your ass better call some. Okay, let's go. There we go. Come on, come on. Come on. You gotta run. We're running away. Ooh, treasure chest. Treasure. Treasure, treasure. The pirate's life for me. Treasure, treasure. The booty you get, it's free. You're troubling me. What is going on here? Do you got people behind me? Are you trying to hunt me? Are you trying to annoy me? Here. Treasure, treasure. Cargo fire done. Meanwhile, other MLS teams trying to stay in it and to keep it together. Shit! Thanks for mushrooms. Okay, explore, explore, exploring. Nothing up here worth what? Wasn't even worth jumping. Come on, reload, reload. I could use a car. I could use a car. That will make it so I can. Oh, go anywhere in that car. Go this way. Cutting across. Hopefully the map's not closing. Oh, perfect. Perfect timing. The map is closing on us. Just what we want. Just what we want to see. Wait, me anything good? What's this? Trunk rift? Wait. There could be a car! There isn't. There could be a car! I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta run. Running, 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 running. Running faster. Detroit Queen! Treasure, treasure. Alright, we gotta get it. Tilted? What, you want to get tilted? I don't think so. Love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Let's go. I don't even build anymore. This is build mode. I haven't even built. You. Hello. Something up here? Something above? That. An upgrade. Where's this? You want to share your location with me? Oh, you're over here. Where you at? Are you hiding? Hiding. Okay. Oh, you're up here. You little scamp. Fuck. Huge. Grab it and go. We get a truck? We can. Truck's tank. Let's go. Leroy Jenkins! Oh shit. Leroy! Hey, wheels there? I probably could, but not even caring. Have fun. Have fun with your play. See you at the end. I'm just traveling. I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. By the way, use the Epic supporter creator Spitting Fire code Spitting Fire, one word, Spitting Fire, in your Fortnite shop or at checkout on your Epic Game Store. It does a lot to help support the channel. Greatly appreciate you guys. Kick that like button. If you guys like this content where we talk a little fun stuff, I talk a little sports, Dash. We're not your usual Sunday night streamer, and it is Wednesday night. Just you don't have to check your calendars. You? Okay, I almost hit you. I was gonna fuck you up, but you were a bot. How's gas? Gas is going good. Oh, did you see that rainbow? You just saw a shooting star. Shooting star. Down here, look at that, and we're into Shuffle's Paradise. I haven't seen a llama in a long time. Any bullets? Wouldn't mind a few more, right? Nobody's been here. Decent dag, got decent view. Bullets. There's nothing great here except treasure chest right around the corner. Cool. Oh, hello. Quit hiding from me. I don't need you hiding from me. All right, we're in zone. We got health. Oh, that's back to the stitch for this. Right? That's faster. It's cleaner. It's better. All right, we're maxed, but we can still hunt down more treasure chests. Like what I'm seeing, like what I'm hearing. Moving on, moving right along. Chat, what do you guys think of this theory for Robin Hood? I think I'm onto something with Robert Fitzwalter. Like, it's just, I wonder about a lot of these things. Hello, where are you at, buddy? Where'd you go? Woo. Oh, I didn't know you jumped in my box, buddy. All right, I'm gonna have to spectate. Continue the story. The Philadelphia experiment, guys. Do you guys think it's true? Do you guys think it really happened? I don't know. I think there is some idea to it. I mean, when they talk about degaussing, when they talk about the electrical wires and the experiments that had to go into that, yeah, absolutely. But also, you got to wonder, what military great technologies did they have Einstein and Tesla working on? They don't ever tell us about. Cool stuff.
How about them fire?
TBG, you want to transfer conversations over? Dude,
Yes.
dude, did they blow your mind the other day? Because I actually thought that they were going to come back. I
No,
thought they were going to come back. Like, I like,
No,
it was
I know.
2-1. And I was like, you know what? They can do it. And then I quickly realized how wrong I was.
So yeah, so that last night's game for a little bit gave everybody hope, but by the time the 80th minute rolled around, these guys were done.
Yep.
They weren't running after the ball anymore. They were out of ideas. They were not hustling, and you could tell like they didn't have that whole fighting mentality.
Would you say it was individuals not hustling, or was it a collective team not hustling?
I want to say it almost felt like a collective team. Like everybody just ran out of ideas. I think the only guy that was probably out there trying to do something.
Wait, ran out of
was the-
ideas is different though. I mean, ran out of ideas means like you're all out of answers.
Well,
It
they
sounds
ran
like
out
they
of
ran out of
ideas.
heart. It sounds
They
like
ran
you're
out
saying.
of heart. You could probably say they ran out of ideas. Then they ran out of heart. Because you can actually still have heart and run out of ideas, but still
Right.
keep going.
Yeah.
But they ran out of everything, and it's this was one of those games that would have gave a lot of people hope. I'm gonna tell you a story. My brother was watching the game. My brother's not a big Fire fan. He's gone to a couple of games. He's always giving me crap about it, but he actually started watching the game, and he texted me last night. Oh, by the way, it looks like the Fire are making a comeback after Shaqiri scored a second penalty.
I felt good about it for a minute there. I was like, oh, they got a shot here, and then I felt like we quickly got hit back to earth.
So
your brother's watching, and he's enjoying it for a minute.
Yeah, he's enjoying it for a minute, but obviously the Fire couldn't. If the Fire would have tied, I think that would have hooked him up and probably, maybe convince him to go to more games, I guess.
Take a peek at him.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, the Fire did what the Fire do and disappoint. Which also actually got me thinking. There's gonna be a town hall this Saturday at Soldier Field with the president of the club and Heights.
Right. That can't go well. I can't imagine that going well.
Now, my thing is, how well is the front office going to filter out these questions that people are going to be asking? And,
also, how pleasant will fans be?
Exactly. And then it's hard to imagine somebody asking something stupid like, oh, how do you feel about the new grass at Soldier Field? No, we don't care about that. We care, hey,
Bermuda glass. Yeah.
These past 3 years have been a disappointment. Have you thought about resigning?
Scratch that. These past 3 years.
Yeah.
These past.
Have you thought of
4, 7, 10?
Yeah. Well, specifically, this question is for Heights. Like, anybody, the average person, you could, if you fuck up for 3 years at your job, you're probably gonna get fired eventually, soon. You probably won't even make it to year 2.
And to fuck up in a job where they claim there's so much parity. They claim that you're gift wrapped the playoffs one of these seasons. 2 out of 5 seasons, you're gift wrapped the playoffs, and he can't even get gifted.
No, and the thing is that put it like this, Heights is not good for this role. He is not good for this job. He needs to leave. He needs to resign. If Mansueto gives him an extension, then that just shows that Mansueto doesn't give a crap about this club.
Mansueto's clueless. To me, there's nothing more that shows he's clueless than the fact that Georg Heitz is still employed by this club. Georg Heitz should not have been employed by this club at the beginning of this year. He made a promise. He promised Shaqiri, and that's what kept him here. He said, "I can bring you the one guy, Shaqiri. I swear." Yeah. And he did. And this one guy is he's got a lot of assists in MLS, and he's got a lot of penalty goals. Most of his goals are penalty kicks, but
pretty much.
But his assists are fantastic. What he brings on the assists side is amazing. But is he bringing enough as your highest paid player in MLS and the highest for a team that is lacking? I don't know. It's lacking that deadliness that Shaqiri's not providing. He gives the assist. Where's the deadly striker? Is that Duran? Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, but I'm not sold on Duran just yet because he's half the time he's on the floor.
What is with that? Doesn't that seem to be like a thing?
Like half the time he's on the floor, and then a quarter of the time he's complaining to a ref, and maybe a quarter of that time he actually might be doing something. But I wouldn't if this if we're relying on Duran to be like this explosive striker, then we're in trouble because, we're not going to get anywhere. He spends a lot of time on the floor. I mean, I get other teams are pushing him around and whatnot. But if that's the case, you might have to take a look at a guy like Jordan. He got pushed around his first playoff series, and then that offseason he started getting some muscles to fight back, and that's something that Durant might need to do. He might need to get more of that upper strength up and going. So maybe
he definitely does. But of course we know what he's 18 years old. He's still a kid. Maybe that is why he needs just a little more time and a little more Wheaties, maybe a little more American cheeseburgers and pizza and all that good stuff, and get on some sort of nutritional diet, get the protein up, and get all that good stuff up, get in the gym, and get more looking like Lukaku than Michael Jackson.
There you go.
I mean, like, he looks like he's got the moves to dance like Michael. But we need you need to pot goals like Lukaku.
Yep. We need him to like outmuscle defenders to get passed by them.
Mm-hmm. And he is silky smooth though. He's fast. He's got a nimbleness and agility to him. And you don't want him to lose that, but also
you don't want him to lose that. But look at a guy like Messi. Messi's like what, 5'6", 5'7", 5'8". I don't know. He gets pushed around, but he gets right back up.
But he's a little brick. He's like trying to push down a little brick, and like he's got so much. He's got that what is it? The low center of gravity with his hips. He's so hard to knock off, even though because he is smaller. Same thing with like Pavel Bure and some of those smaller hockey players, Theo Fleury types. Patrick Kane.
So it's like, half the time he's on the floor, we can't really get much out of him. We can't expect a lot from him. He's only 18 years old, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
We do need to bring in another striker because the guy that was supposed to be the next or better than Nikolic isn't doing much. So, I don't know how the Fire are going to get rid of those contracts.
That's the question, because think about this, DPG. They already got $1 million right there already just tied up in Prishabilko. Another $500,000 with Duran. And then how much more can they spend on a striker when they have a dead mill sitting right there because of Prishabilko's contract?
Yeah, and then like you think about that. I mean, what is the only thing I can imagine is either A, they sell him, quote unquote, sell him to Lugano, and get rid of it like that. In fact, you probably could do that for a couple of players. Or B, I mean, I guess you could look for. I don't think any team will want him, but you could look for a trade. Or C, maybe do negotiate a contract termination. Say, hey, you know what? Didn't work out. Here's a lump sum of money, and good luck on your next endeavor.
I really see that as kind of like the only way the Fire can get out of this.
Yeah, because I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm not expecting Shabilko to magically just start scoring 20 goals next season.
Right.
I mean, I don't see that happening. I mean, he's living up to his namesake, which I think his nickname is the Friendly Striker. He is living up to it. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you look at guys like Victor Brazzera and some of the guys from Fire too, and you can't just throw them in the wolf pit just right away. Those guys are going to take a couple of years to kind of develop.
Unless they are a Brian Gutierrez.
They're a Brian Gutierrez.
Who did get time last game, and maybe will be getting more time as the season goes on. I wonder if we're going to see less Hyro. Did he get out there?
He was hurt. He was out.
Jesus. Okay, of course he's hurt. And so maybe next season will be a better season for Hyro, and that's what we're gonna have to hope for. I don't have that hope for Gaston Jimenez. I don't have for Federico Bernardo. I do like for Shaqiri. I don't know what to do.
Next season is gonna be the true test. Because this season his mind is set on that World Cup team.
There's nothing outside of it. The Fire don't exist. The Fire are his. They're his what is it? What would you call us? His gym.
Yeah, pretty much. He probably just said, "Oh, I'm gonna work out with these guys for a few seasons." And
where's gym membership for till the World Cup?
And the thing about it is that what kind of Shakira are we gonna get back after the World Cup? I mean, are we gonna get a guy that's now gonna devote his full time to the Fire?
And wants to win an MLS Cup.
Wants to win an MLS Cup?
Wants to make one last push for his career. Is that who we're gonna get, or are we gonna get the guy who's ready to go back to Europe?
Yeah.
And halfway through the season forces it, or forces it before he even gets back after the World Cup. Maybe never comes back to Chicago post World Cup. That's gonna be a good bet.
Yeah, or maybe will we get a guy that is gonna play really good for one game, probably get hurt, Shaqiri style, and basically collect a check and not see him play for a couple of months.
DPG, what worries me is the guy that I saw on the field a couple days ago. He looks like he wants to be in MLS less than Inter Miami's Gonzalo Higuain.
Yeah.
Gonzalo Higuain looks like he's going to last longer in MLS than Shaqiri.
Yeah.
At this moment.
And that's that's sad considering Shaqiri's only like 31 or 32 and Gonzalo.
And we're speaking out of turn here, but that is kind of how it looks like it's going to be. And we would not be surprised. He forced his way out of his previous club to get to the Fire. Only 11 games in.
Yep.
So it's not unprecedented.
Yeah. So, at this point, I don't know what to expect to Shaqiri. That means we have 3 failed DPs.
Well, the other question is, DPG, do we want Shaqiri back do we want Shaqiri back? Like, I think yes. I think he's good enough DP. He's better than Gaston. He's better than Jairo. But also, is he kind of like Bastian Schweinsteiger, where it's just like too little too late, and you could have used that money to get a Cucho Hernandez, an actual difference maker from MLS to a champion, instead of just like an appealing what do you call that weight, paperweight, an appealing paperweight, which I think that's what Shaqiri is. I think that's what Schweinsteiger was, an appealing paperweight versus a real championship winning soccer player in Cucho Hernandez.
Well, I mean, we always needed a difference maker. We keep signing DPs thinking that they are different makers,
right?
And they're not. We pretty much crapped the bed with re-signing Gaston Jimenez for another year or two, whatever the contract stipulation is, as a DP. We should have done a better due diligence scouting a guy like Jairo Torres.
Do you think that was desperation? Do you think that was a desperation move? Like, he fits the bill. He's going to be he's a young Mexican, and we could get him in the door.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think, look, that guy, he's part of a championship team. Let's get him. Let's throw money at Atlas and let's get him. But do they bother checking up? Like, hey, can we get a guy to scout him a couple of games? Can we get a medical report?
Can this guy hang with the physicality of MLS?
Exactly.
Does he have an intact hip muscle?
Yeah, exactly. Like stuff like that. Stuff that any other team will do, probably. And then, of course, we have Shabilko, which I guess nobody bothered to look at his stats.
Yeah, they didn't scout Shabilko.
They didn't. They
took a look at him on FIFA 21. They're like, tall.
He's tall. Look, he's calling us because he wants to get traded over here.
Oh, Polish community.
Yeah. Look, and I get it. I get it.
I get it.
I get it. The Fire trying to connect with the community. They're trying to bring people that connect with the community. I get that, but there are better players for that. There are other talent from places that maybe they're not common in Chicago that might be different makers.
Frankowski was a better bet than Prishabilko.
Yeah. It's
seems obvious now in hindsight, but.
And then at the end of the day, you have to take a look at the guy responsible for signing all these people, and that's George Heights or Gerg Heights, whatever he likes to call himself.
Yes.
You have to take a look at that guy. And let's go back to the
look,
town hall.
a close look at his signings. You gotta look at, and not just a close look at his signings, but the sum of all his signings, the sum results of his signings. What are they?
Yeah, the Fire have literally burned through piles of cash, signing people that haven't done much.
It's actively injured the image of the Chicago Fire in MLS in Chicago by maintaining gayer guys, because less people want to go out and see this particular club than would want to go see a successful club, which we do not have.
You don't. And the thing is like other clubs, other fan bases make fun of us because we're throwing money at these guys that don't do anything.
And the Cubs are a miserable fan base to begin with. They got the one championship, and that's all they got. At least they got that, but like they don't have they've had a lot of losing in between all that, and there's still something there that makes fans go, oh yeah, we want to go check this out. Oh, I'll listen to this podcast. Oh, I'll listen to it on sports radio.
Yep.
Where is that for soccer and Chicago Fire?
And the thing about it is that you look around the league, a lot of the teams in the league that are successful, they have adapted, they have evolved. It's like we're still stuck on, we're barely maybe getting over the hump for MLS 2.0 when the rest of the leagues like at MLS 4.0.
TPG, they tweeted out a picture the other day of a metric of like the metrics of sports popularity in per state basis, kind of, and like they showed Illinois, and soccer was like second or third, baseball was near last, hockey was near last, and I'm like, I don't believe it, because it's all reflected in the sports networks, the sports radio and sports TV. What do they talk about? They talk about the Bears. Then what did they talk about next after the Bears?
The Cubs.
Then the White Sox, because Cubs get more clicks than the White Sox, even though the White Sox have more success recent term and long term than the Cubs.
Oh, that's because the Sox are on the south side, and if you know better, you don't go on the south side.
Well, the going to the stadium there is a little bit. It's sometimes more difficult in a way. Where Wrigley is just so much more accessible. There's more vibrant life going around. Like, it's just like you can feel like, oh, I'll go to Wrigley and I might walk around, even though.
Let's be honest. The north side of Chicago looks much nicer than the south side of Chicago.
It does. Oh, that also has something to do with it.
It's a big part of it.
More appealing product. It's more appealing. It's more attractive. It's more desirable to be around, and these people think like, oh, if we put a fancy bow on it and we make it smell nice, that'll be enough. No.
Who does that sound like to you?
Nelson Rodriguez. Who does that sound like to you?
That sounds to me like the Fire. Oh, let's just sign this guy and then people will come. Doesn't work that way. If you're thinking about the people, the fanboys for Liverpool showing up because they want Shaqiri's autograph, you might get those guys coming in maybe once, and that's it. After that, they're not going to come back.
No, they'll see Shaqiri play, and they'll be like, oh, he's fat and slow, and I wish that was Gareth Bale who could run around people still.
Yeah, and then at that point, it's like, okay, well, did that, and this team kind of sucks. I'm not coming back anymore.
So once again, I've highlighted the problem, DPG, and to me, it comes down to the simple term spectacle. Spectacle. Michael Jordan was spectacle. Even the Bulls without Michael Jordan, they figured out spectacle. Because if you've ever been to a Bulls game at post Michael Jordan, I went to one last year, and like, oh my God, the beginning of the game just makes you want to. I was going to get so graphic with what I was just going to say. It makes you want to.
Pumped up.
It gets you so pumped up. It makes you think like we're going to win we could win everything. Like, we are the best team in the world. When you hear the announcement for the Bulls, and we hear the song for the Bulls, the Sirius song. Yep, that's the band.
When you see the video, the little intro, a lot of these intros tend to have like flashback from the golden eras of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff pumps you up.
It reminds me that we, the Bulls, we are the Yankees of the NBA. We are who everybody wants to be like, because we had Michael Jordan. We had 6. We had something that nobody has ever seen before. Even the people who have Golden State. Like, with Michael Jordan, we had something. We had the most amount of greatness encapsulated over the most longest time And like that spoiled us, and it made us the envy of the league, and also made other sports in this town hard to compete with. With the Bulls, Bulls are right there. I think you said Bulls are Cubs. I actually got to say Bulls are probably number 2. If we think about it, but summer, it's definitely Cubs over White Sox, and then Blackhawks are in 5th, and then what the Chicago Fire.
I will say this. The White Sox games have a better fan experience. If in terms of going to watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of weeks ago, actually back in July, one of my buddies was getting married, and what we did as I guess you could say a bachelor party, we actually rented out a suite at the cell, whatever
Oh, that sounds fun.
or guaranteed rate fee or whatever they call it now. So our suite was literally facing third base, and we actually had someone come in from somebody from the Sox organization come in and tell us, "Hey, by the way, Tim Anderson tends to throw balls at the suites if you guys cheer hard enough." I took it for I was like, "Yeah, okay, I guess." And then when we saw Tim Anderson throw balls, I guess we're like, "Okay, let's go cheer." There was 20 of us. We started cheering like girls, and guess what? Tim Anderson threw a ball at us. And we all, we caught it. We all signed it and gave it to our buddy who was getting married.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
But yeah, so in terms of fan experience, I would say if you want to watch a ball game, Guarantee Field is a much better place to watch a ball game than Wrigley. Wrigley, half the time you're not even watching the game; you're just talking crap, shooting the shit with
I'll say, I mean, to me, I've been to more Wrigley Field games than White Sox games, but just by handful, just because my uncle was actually my uncle and my uncle was season ticket holder for the Cubs, my grandpa season ticket holder for the White Sox. I was at the AJ Barrett Pierzynski punch out game with my best buddy, sitting behind home plate. I love to tell that story on stream. I tell it a few times every so often. It was the most insane experience. But my point is, the Cubs back in the Sammy Sosa days, there was absolutely nothing like it. There was absolutely nothing like it. And I've been to the United Center with the Bulls. The Bulls United Center was like that. When Wayne Gretzky came to town, it was like that.
And the crazy part about it is that Sammy was hitting home runs, but honestly, in the 90s, the guy that was getting the most hits for the Cubs was Mark Grace.
Oh, I love Mark. That was my favorite Cub.
And you know what's funny is that I actually have it. A couple of years ago, I actually bought his autographed jersey, that already framed and everything from some guy on and it was authenticated too. I actually checked and it was legit.
Sean Dunston. I love Sean Dunston.
But Mike Graves was one of my favorite Cubs players.
Dude, some of those old Cubs teams, those old White Sox teams, Frank Thomas, Jim Tomei when he was here for a year. Oh, what's his face? Manny Ramirez was on the White Sox for a season.
Yep. Ken Griffey was in the White Sox.
I love that the White Sox got Griffey. We got Tomei. You can get those White Sox jerseys. They're real. I love that. I kind of do like that, even though they didn't do anything. But hey, we had them for a moment, which is great.
Speaking of old school jerseys and whatnot, what someone put on Twitter, or I think this on the Fire Discord chat is a throwback baby blue Fire jersey game. Someone actually found a video on YouTube of the Fire wearing that baby blue jersey that's coveted by a lot of Fire fans.
Oh wow, they should do something with that, and they got to do something with the city jersey that I always wear. That they got to listen to the fans. There's something.
The black one.
Yeah, the black and blue sleeve, the black and blue Chicago flag sleeve. They aren't listening. The funny thing about the Red Stars, they don't listen either. They're just damn good at setting new trends and knowing what fucking looks good. If you got to do one of those two things, you either got to have one of those, you please the fans. Like you pick one direction, and the Fire can't pick either, and it's bad.
Like honestly, if the Fire had a team of nobodies that nobody knew about, but somehow they were winning and they were successful, this whole city will be like cramming Soldier Field.
DPG, if they had a cool fucking jersey they don't have a cool jersey. Like the facts of the matter is, like, they want to claim it's cool. Well, the numbers show it ain't.
It ain't.
You don't want to know what's a cool jersey? The Nigeria jerseys from World Cups past. They're always so cool. But why is that? Why is that? And if Chicago could somehow figure out a way to have a cool jersey that you could say, oh, that's so cool, that alone would build more hype for them. But they just haven't done that yet.
And this is why that Black City jersey is, like, to me, I have it. I hardly wear it because I don't want to ruin it. It's just that just screams Chicago at you. Like, I remember I wore that, and even I had people that don't even follow soccer that told me, "Wow, that's a really nice jersey."
I got an update. I got an updated version for that jersey. Chicago Fire. Please, if you want to reimburse me, just give me a free STH. Give me and DPG free STHs for a season, and we'll greatly appreciate it. That'll maybe even a few seasons or life, just the two of us at least, and then we'll bring more people in as we usually do. But my idea is this: that same black jersey, but the blue Chicago Fire flag, but make it give it a flame motif. So like the Chicago, so it's almost the same. It's all black, and then the jersey sleeve is a blue, but it's like a blue flame. And it's like a blue, but it's also a Chicago flag. It's a Chicago flag with also a blue flame motif. Bam, it'll be so slick. People will want that jersey because guess what? It's Chicago Fire. It'll be like it's there's gonna be something about, like, it's like getting kicked. It doesn't have to be like getting kicked by Miss O'Leary, but there's gonna be something about it that's like gonna be like, oh wow, so, I want that.
And I mean, I'm not a big fan of having graphics on a jersey, like, having. Like,
I don't know if you need graphics, right? It just needs the flag, which the flag print was already on there, but kind of make it flamey, like kind of blue fiery-ish. If you catch my idea, like somehow.
I mean, it cracks me up because I always said, like, man, if the Fire will one day win 3 more MLS Cups and we had 4 stars over the badge, we could literally just paint 2 baby blue stripes on it and make the Chicago flag with those 4 stars if we ever win.
They got to win more championships. Yeah.
Yeah. And to do that, we need a new GM because obviously Heights is not doing the job.
Mm-hmm.
He's the captain of the Titanic right now. He's literally sinking the hell out of this ship. The ship is already sunk, actually. Now everybody's on life rafts. His decisions. It's unfortunate, but he's making decisions that, like, he's like, he thinks he's trying to batten the hatches, but we won't. This ship's unsinkable, but no, we're sinking, and actually, no, that's a shark eating your first mate, and we're going under. It's over, and also we can't catch up. We're so far below everybody else. They're all living. They're out of the ocean. They're moving past sharks. They're onto mainland trade now. Yeah, like, I want people to ask these hard questions on Saturday. I don't want to give them the BS. Oh, what do you think of the new grass at Soldier Field, or some BS about the stadium? I want you to ask the guy, hey, do you think you deserve to stay in the Fire for another season?
They asked him that before. You know what? We got to give props to the Fire media. They're not afraid to take shots. They have been all season, but like, it's different when 60 people, 600 people are clicking it versus 6,000 people, 10,000. It's just like they aren't generating the interest yet, and I don't know how to facilitate that.
It's like these are the questions you got to ask. Like, hey, in an ethical point of view, you've been doing a horrible job for the past 3 seasons. Do you really think you're doing a good job?
If they had Gareth Bale here, wouldn't they have to write about Gareth Bale? Like, they don't have a guy like that you have to write about. Like, if they had Chicharito here, these guys would have to write about Chicharito because people would be clicking it. Like, there'd be clicks outside of Chicago in addition to Chicago, and it'd be worth their while. That's the fact of the matter, that once again, Shaqiri is not the right signing, and
there's literally
Heights' failure because he's not getting people to click in Chicago or be interested in that, like in a Bale type of way. When they got Bale, everybody's like, oh, I've been watching way more LAFC games than Chicago Fire games lately.
There's literally puff pieces of let's a day, a day in Chicharito's life, where they follow him around for a day.
And that's Chicharito, right? And they do it for Bale too. These guys are icons.
They do stuff like that. Like, you won't see that with the Fire. I mean, we have the third largest market in the country, but yet we're treated like we're some small town, club team that's barely getting by. And that's kind of been the mentality we had for the past 10 years. And and I get it. A lot of it probably had to do with the old ownership, mismanagement. But now that we have an owner that wants to spend money, we need the right guy to fix all this. We need a guy like Lagerwey to come in and just say, hey, we're getting screw this, we're starting over again, or we're doing this. If Lagerwey came in tomorrow and said, hey, I'm gonna get rid of everybody and start from scratch, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, because maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what we've been needing for this whole entire time. We need a guy that's gonna go into the Fire and just literally clean house and fix things, not just buy people just to buy them and think that they're gonna somehow win us a cup, because that hasn't happened and that hasn't worked. And we really gotta quit buying people that are in these obscure leagues around the world. Like, that's not working
too.
Yeah, like that's not working for us. It's never gonna work for us. Maybe, that's like one of those things where that's like a scratch off. Maybe you might get something, 1 out of X, but if you want to really hit it big, it's gonna be 1 out of 1,000,000 or whatever it is. It's not gonna happen. There's two ways to take a look at this. We could go the Dallas way, which is just basically revamping the youth academies and bringing in young talent to develop and
it's not just about getting lucky. It's about developing the talent. A lot of these clubs have figured out something.
And all props to Brian Gutierrez, all props to Gaga, Reynolds and all those guys. Those guys, that's, I guess you could say that's a step in the right direction, but we need to probably increase that to at least 2 or 3 times the pace we're going. How is it that Dallas is pumping out talent all the time?
Right.
And
that's
not
even,
saying
it doesn't have to be great talent. Like, they all don't have to be Gaga Sloninas.
no. It's like the same thing with LA. I mean, LA is a big city, but they figured it out. New York figured it out, but Chicago's struggling. Like, Gaga's probably like the biggest, youth player developed like in the past. Crap,
Well, we got Georgie. We did, Georgie, and they've had some success lately.
Georgie and Gaga were probably like the only two that I can think of right now that the Fire have developed as a homegrown player
That truly are recognized around the league. We're not talking about like Steven Cleveland and over in who's the backup for Seattle, or the other guy who went to Seattle from what's his face?
Harry Ship.
Harry Ship. Yeah, that's it. Those are kind of like the 4 names.
But it's like you look throughout Fire history, you try to think about a time when we actually developed a player, and like that will meet up to the standards of Gaga or Jordy, and you can't really think of any. A lot of the guys we got from draft picks that we actually lucked out on. We lucked out on Sean Johnson. Who would have thought that he would have developed into the goalkeeper he is now?
He's getting almost. He got a call up. Might be even going to the World Cup.
He's probably going to go to the World Cup.
Which I'm not sure that's the right call. I would rather bring like your young guy who's going to be starting there in the future there as your third guy. But if you need somebody to start and you actually think he might be starting over Zach Steffen, that changes things.
Think about this. In 4 years, Gaga's going to be 22. Think about that. 22. So in 2026, we're going to have a 22-year-old goalkeeper starting. Maybe. I don't even know. That might be too young to put that kind of pressure on a goalkeeper. But if he's that good,
national team,
yeah, maybe he he becomes this really good goalkeeper at Chelsea, and he's a regular starter for them, and then maybe he's good enough for to start in the national team. That's fine. But you know, Sean Johnson, through everything he's dealt with, through the bad fire teams he's dealt with, I am happy for the man that he won an MLS Cup. I'm really happy for him, and I'm also happy that he might actually be able to see the World Cup. I personally feel that the Fire did him a disservice the way they treated him, in his last season. Pretty much kind of left him out to dry, which was, we put a guy like Matt Lampson as a goalkeeper when we had someone that was already.
Yeah.
So you look at stuff like that, and it's like this team has mismanaged itself to death. Like, at this point, you kind of just want somebody to come in and just clean house again, because it's like it's almost every year. It's always a rebuilding year for the Fire.
Always seems like that way.
And like,
the coach is never working with the GM, and
yeah. And the thing about it is that if it's not a rebuild year, then it's gonna be a year that we're just gonna literally sit at the bottom of the conference, where it's like, okay, we're not bringing anybody. We're gonna keep the same team from last year. Oh, great, we're gonna be in last place again.
I didn't expect us to be in last place, but when I do the math, why aren't we? We don't invest in the places where you need to invest. We are always in short-term solving solutions. There's just so much about the way that the Fire is run that is flawed from an MLS success perspective that they aren't getting right with, and they aren't going to get out of Garrick Heights anytime soon.
Yeah, and it's like, this is why you need a GM that has been part of a successful team that knows how to build successful teams.
Correct.
And we're not getting that with Heights. We're not getting that with the Sebastian Peltzer guy. We're definitely not getting that from the scouting department.
Nope. And they're paying more money to the scouting department, supposedly.
And sometimes, and as we've been seeing this past 2 years, 3 years, throwing money at the problems might not solve the issue. Especially if you're throwing money at the wrong guy. And we've been Joe Mansoura's been throwing boatload of money to Heights to bring players in, and those players have not been successful. And at that point, you have to look at the guy that's making those moves. You have to look at Heights. You have to say, you know what, this guy is not right for this role. We need to get him out of here. If you want to send him back to Europe, then fine. Boom. Send him out to FC Lugano, let him be the GM over there or whatever, or fire him. Maybe Lugano is better off without him. But you need a guy that knows what they're doing in this league.
That's the bottom line, and he hasn't, and he still hasn't gotten it.
And I mean, how do you feel about the president of the Fire?
I don't feel good about her. I feel she's very token.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe where it's like, it's just, I think she's probably more excited that she's a president of a club than just she is running it.
Well, she doesn't care at soccer.
Yeah.
It could care. She I don't know. She is not in it for the Fire. She's not one of those. I don't know what she is. It looked good. It looked good at the time. It just seems like one of those hires that's like, oh, this is going to be great on paper. We'll be able to sell this to some of our fans who like this type of thing.
Yeah, it's like, that's exactly the point. It's like when you're when you're
am I being too negative about it? But like, that's kind of my read. Like, she's a token hire. It feels like.
And the thing is, like, when you're putting stuff on LinkedIn, because by the way, guys, she does have a LinkedIn profile. When you're putting stuff on LinkedIn and you're saying, "Oh, I'm getting paid to watch sports," and going to watch Serena Williams play versus being at the stadium watching the Fire play, that just shows that
rubbed me the wrong way. That rubbed me the wrong way because she's a Chicago Fire president. It was during a game, and I understand she could have timed the tweet so it like came out later. But she had to let it be known she was at this game. But yeah, also maybe it was her time off. But still, like, if you're the president, like, I'm not the president. I don't have to be at every fucking game.
That's a bad sign. If you're the president of a club and you're saying I'm not gonna be at every game.
What does that say to Shaqiri?
Yeah. What does it say to the rest of the staff? Oh, by the way, I'm just gonna not watch you guys play, even though this is my job, you know. But I'm gonna go do something else. It's like it's a bad look, you know. I mean, you look around the world, you know. You think the president of Real Madrid or Barcelona is not sitting at every home game,
pouring through Soccernomics. Yeah, like
exactly.
we don't. Angus mentioning that he received the mail today. 2018 World Cup version of Soccernomics, a very interesting book which covers different nations' GDP and correlates them with the powerhouses that they are, along with soccer as a and if money is a if soccer is a money loser for that country or not. I wonder about like Brazil. I wonder about England. Like, those guys are powerhouses. Germany. Waiting for the 2022 World Cup version of the book of Soccernomics. So they're going to have, like, an updated report.
Yeah, I mean, that's
interesting to check a look at.
That'd be interesting to take a look at. But
I wonder if it makes me wonder about the Chicago Soccernomics when we see over the last 7 to 8 years that they're routinely top 5 spend in MLS and routinely bottom MLS, bottom top 5 in pay and money spend, but bottom 27, bottom 25 in results.
Yep. And the thing is like, you know, going back to this president, I mean, this is, you know, I get it. I guess it's a good look for the club, but I mean, sometimes you got to hire the right people.
Right. Is Krista McCreen, what's her face, the right people? I didn't think she. I think she was the right person at the time, but also it was to me, it was screamed very short term. Like, it didn't seem like a very long term hire. She didn't have experience in this thing, and didn't really even seem to want to get experience. Like, you read her tweets, you read her things, like, soccer is like her last priority of all sports. She's into baseball, she's into hockey. She's into tennis. She's into anything but soccer. She just is like, I'll put my application in to Chicago, and you know, they are a professional club. It's something that I'll be able to flip on to the next thing. This is her stepping stone.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's, you know, 2-3 years from now, don't be surprised if.
Which is fine.
Which is fine, but you know, at the time when this club is going through struggling in the league, you know, you don't need a person like that. You need someone that's actually gonna take charge and be like the face of the club, be the figurehead of this club.
And DPG, you know? And here we are saying it's fine, but because we're like a beat wife at this point. We're like, yeah, she could treat this club like a stepping stone because everybody else does. Yeah, she could shit on this club and move on to the next thing, just put it on her resume and never look back in the rear view mirror like everybody else has. That makes sense to us. That makes sense to us as fans, because that's what they're treating this club like. And they need to change the way the club's treated by the players, by the executives, and they still have not changed that because of what they've brought in. You reap what you sow, Joe Mansueto.
Yep. And the thing about it is that you look back throughout the years, all the fire presidents that we've had. We had Nelson Rodriguez. You know, we had the SFO AK, which was the Altuo Koshla, which, by the way, you know, I know AK used to get a lot of crap back in the day, you know, from fire fans, but let's be honest here. That man stood alone in a town hall at a Chicago bar, the Atlantic, taking crap for every Fire fans of why this team wasn't successful. The same argument we're having today.
Yeah, but it's one thing to be able to take crap. It's another thing to be able to take crap and then be able to go and become a winner, to foment a winner and get everybody else on the winning page. And if everybody else is a loser, it's hard to become a winner.
So
Fire keep hiring losers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so please, club president, try to care a little bit about the Fire, please, for the sake of the Fire fan base. Yes, your hiring looks good on paper, but we need results.
We need
Right, if you
something
need-
more than on paper. We need the right guy. We need just like, oh, like this sounds like the right thing. We don't need sounds like. We need this is the right guy. And there's clear answers to that. There's clear guys out there that are that. And the Fire just have been unwilling for whatever reason to go back and go get their own fucking guys.
Yes. So, Joe Mansueto, you need to fire Heights already. All right? Stop beating a dead horse. He's not going to get you a championship. He's just going to take your money and burn it right in front of you. And you're going to let him until you fire him. Because we're not going anywhere with him. We're not. We're like literally
going down. Like this, it's just a. I don't see this club going anywhere with Garrett Christ except worse, because that's what's happening. It's cratering even deeper after Nelson Rodriguez. When we thought we had somebody, we thought we might have had somebody, an owner, at least with the idea, the guidance, the right choices to be able to get us out of this rut. No, his choices have actually made the hole deeper.
like
Yeah, he's
and,
got money
like, Nelson,
to buy a nice ladder out, but
yeah.
he still hasn't figured
Like-
out a way to get that ladder here.
And the thing about it is that Heights makes Nelson Rodriguez look like freaking,
A
Jeff Black,
genius.
a genius. Yeah.
Truly, he does. He makes, because Nelson at least knew the rules, knew the way.
Yeah.
Was able to resign veterans. Was able to give you a complete team that didn't work altogether,
Yeah.
but a complete team.
And the only downfall for Nelson was that he was an asshole
Yes.
to the fan base.
Super asshole. Don't want him here. Don't need him back.
That was the problem with him. But the fact is that he made moves. The team actually got into playoffs. We were actually competitive for one season. You couldn't even do it in 3.
And even though he's the guy behind the failure of Chivas Guadalajara. Chivas, is that what they were called? Chivas
USA.
He was part of that failure, that debacle. He learned something there, as much as as difficult it is to say. He was a smarter GM here as Chicago Fire GM. He wasn't the worst GM in MLS, which Georg Heights might be.
Yeah. I mean, how many GMs around the league do you know are getting money thrown at them and burning it and buying players that are not successful? GMs like that don't last that long.
Yeah, all Chicago Fire GMs, I guess, are going to be included in this, because it's just miss after miss after miss on most of these DPs. Is Shaqiri the best DP after who? Is Schweinsteiger the crowning achievement for DPs for Nelson? And is Shaqiri the crowning DP of, like, look at these crowning DPs that are not league winners. Once again, these are afterthoughts. These are paperweights. They're heroes of long ago.
They're past their prime.
They're past their prime. They're not Cucho Hernandez coming in looking for that next deal to get back to Premier League, or even Joseph Hernandez Joseph Martinez when he first came to the league, when he was hungry.
Oh, he tore it up.
He's not hungry anymore, but
He got hurt, but I mean, he hasn't been the same player ever since he got hurt. But still, the first 2 seasons, every defensive line, every defensive back line in the league was shooting bricks.
they didn't know how to handle him.
Exactly. So you think about that. You think about guys that nobody probably heard of them prior to them getting to the getting to the MLS. And they've done stuff. They actually became game changers. We can't even sign one. But don't worry though. We could develop talent and ship it off somewhere else where they become game changers.
Georgie. Maybe it's only 2 instances, really. Two big instances. Fabian Herbers, though, let's talk about him for a moment. He's out of town. He's ready to go. He's done with this.
Fabian Herbers went to Philly to get his he got some surgery done on the groin. So he's
I
out
can't
for
imagine Philadelphia has better medical facilities or better medicine than Chicago. That's just me. But
maybe he has a doctor,
maybe he's got a doctor out there.
Yeah, maybe he played for Philly, so he's probably got a doctor he's comfortable with, and whatever.
And also,
Yeah,
you know, everywhere in the world has different medical facilities. Maybe they do have a good speciality. Blah 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 blah. I mean, there's like cancer facilities down in Texas that are spectacular. MD Anderson, and there's also everybody has their own. So who knows?
you know, so you know he has his reasons why he went to Philly. But besides the point, is, you know, I like Fabian Herbert. I think he's a good, you know, utility piece that you have on the bench whenever you need him. You know. Whenever you need to hold a score line,
Absolutely,
he's fine. I don't think he's a game changer, but he plays with heart. You know,
if you had him and CJ Sapong here over the season, that would have helped. Just so that a guy like that Ezra could pivot to instead of John Duran when Pershabilko was failing.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy, he made me think. He made me think of the rest of those guys. It's just
that's. I think
there
that's
other
the
guys
issue.
that maybe they should have kept that would have maybe helped this team a little bit more.
You know what? You know, besides Sean Johnson, besides Dax
No,
McCarthy.
I'm talking Garrick Heights from the for that he let go.
Oh.
Georgi Mihailovic.
Georgi Mihailovic is one.
Easy.
CJ might be another.
Yeah, CJ would be another. If you didn't let go of CJ, if you didn't let go of Georgie, this team would literally be much more well put together with those two players alone. Veterans.
I think from our part, I think, you know, maybe, you know, a lot. I think about the Georgie move, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, you know, even though Georgie was a little inconsistent, he did have some moments, and I think a lot of times is like I think the technical staff just didn't see it that way. I mean, they probably ran out of.
They didn't know where to fit him. They didn't know where to play him. They're like, we need a 10. They got Marty always railing like, we need a 10. And so like, this guy's not a 10.
Why do we need Georgie when we have Madron?
Right?
Something's.
That is what they thought.
Yeah, why do we need? Yeah, exactly. It's just stupid, you know. And look at him now. Georgie's making moves. He's going to Europe. Montreal's getting $6 million. We're getting 600,000. That's it. We should have been the ones getting the $6 million.
Should have been making over 20 million from Gagosunian and Georgie.
Yeah, literally, Mansueto probably would have got his money back. But, you know, hey, this is the Fire. We have dumb management that makes dumb moves. So, that's what you have to go through. Now, unless Joe Mansueto finally decides, hey, we got to pull the plug on this guy, then fine. Fire his ass. But, you know, until then, we have to suffer.
That's the thing. We got to... Well, how much longer does Joe Mansueto really expect us to suffer? I mean, I understand he's new at this. I understand he just started pay attention to the Chicago Fire, even though he's lived in Chicago all his life, and he's a new Chicago Fire fan. But we've been here since 1997, and we really haven't had a lot of fun since 2001. We've had moments, but we have not had a lot of consistent fun since 2001, 1997-ish.
And it depends who you ask. Some fans will say, hey, when we won the U.S. Open Cup was probably the last time we had fun.
Yeah, we had fun then. Yeah, there's moments of fun. Yeah, Blanco was fun for a moment.
You know, maybe the Eastern Conference Finals. People will say, wow, that was like the best time ever, you know, but...
Winning championships is the best time ever for me.
Honestly, I can't think of like any... If you were to ask me, what was your favorite championship season for the Fire? I can't think of any.
Besides the original.
Besides the original. It's like, you know, I literally have to like say, oh, you know, my favorite game was, you know, against Seattle, you know, back in 2017 when we beat them 4-1. That's my favorite game of all time. I have to literally go to individual games.
Favorite season in the last 10 years, I would say for me, is probably the Nikolic Golden Boot season.
2017. That's the same here. And by the way, Joe, if you're wondering about attendance that year, we literally sold out a couple of times that year. I literally remember getting messages on my phone saying, "Oh, by the way, the game sold out today. Only standing room only."
We were season ticket holders that year, and it was fun year to be a season ticket holder.
Yeah. So, if you want to wow us again, Joe, you know what to do.
I don't think he does, though. That's the thing, Joe. If you don't know what to do, so let me tell you what to do. You don't sign aging stars. It's MLS 3.0, and how about this? Lead the charge into MLS 4.0. New, different. Don't be. Chicago Fire are stuck in MLS 0.5. Like, we haven't even moved to David Beckham years, like to MLS 1.0. Like, get past that. We don't need David Beckham to come in. We don't need David Beckham's jockstrap to come in. We need a player who is not past it, who's physically capable of dominating in MLS and therefore also being a spectacle in MLS,
Who
therefore
wants to
drawing and earning my dollars, my hard-earned pay, and my time so that I want to go watch this guy try and score goals against MLS and support my Chicago soccer team.
Exactly. You know, and another thing you need to do is fire your GM.
Yep.
Get a guy that knows how to win. Get a guy that's been on championship teams. Get a guy that knows what he's doing with your money. Don't get a guy that's just telling you nice stuff that he's going to make things happen with your money. All right? Don't buy the snake oil. Just get a guy that knows what the hell he's doing and doesn't need an assistant to tell him how to do his job.
And speaking of snake oil, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but Garrick Heights is a snake oil salesman. That's what he is. So it's time to move on. Thank him for his service from the Chicago Fire. I don't even think that means moving him to the other club. I don't know why you would keep this guy in your family unless he's got pictures of you doing something bad. You get rid of him, guy, and say, thank you for your services. I gave you a lot of good time and a lot of good money, and I didn't like the results of it, and so I'm going to go another direction.
Oh, look at it this way, Joe. Look at it as a guy working for Morningstar and just losing your money.
And yeah, just throwing it away. But here's the thing, did he? Because he still got money from... The problem is he got lucky with Gago Slonina. That's not his... But he should not get any credit for Gago Slonina
And
whatsoever.
The thing about it is that you look at that deal. Great, he's getting 10 million guaranteed, 15 after performance, but that still won't cover the amount of money we spent on every other player.
Right.
Shaqiri alone was like 7.5 million. You know, Jairo Torres was like what 5-6 million alone. Federico Navarro was another 3-4 million. Gaston Jimenez was another 2-3 million. Like it goes on and on. You know, not to mention the TAM and GAM.
Elsewhere. Actually, just look at everybody he has spent money on, and ask the question: well, was that money well spent?
Exactly.
Was Gaston Jimenez money well spent? Was Shaqiri money well spent? Was Jairo Torres money well spent? Were these DPs money well spent?
Exactly.
In a league where they have to be. In a league where they have to be. Because, like, those are your only top 3 guys you're allowed per the salary cap.
Yeah.
You're
You
superstars.
And also, Joel, don't hire anybody don't go through a hiring agency to bring a GM. Ask around the league. You'll be surprised the info you get.
Ask around the league. Talk to people who want the Fire to have success. Talk to Eric Winalda. Talk to Piotr Nowak. Talk to former Chicago Fire people who want the success for Chicago Fire. Talk to those people. Exactly. They're connected. They got their ear to the grindstone. They're able to tell you what's what. And the other thing is, I know you have asked them. I know you have talked to those guys, and you couldn't handle the truth. You couldn't handle what that was told to you. And that is a you problem. And you made that you problem an all of us problem.
Exactly. All right. So if you want to bring more butts to the seats, you got to change things around.
And just it's not just like switch things around for the better. It's you got to make strong choices. You can't just bring in a token president. You got to bring in a president who's going to be able to take command, who knows Chicago. Are you kidding me? Like, someone who like understands the Chicago market, not just someone who's from the big city and checks and is a check. It fits a check mark.
Exactly. You need a guy. You need someone. I don't care if it's a woman or a man. You need someone that's gonna like literally almost be a fan sometimes during game days. Like someone that's excited to be there.
Somebody who's gonna bring success.
Someone that knows what they're doing, that wants success, that knows that could somehow connect with the fans. Because up to this point, I haven't seen this president try to connect with the fans.
Well, maybe we should start asking her about tennis. How she feels about Rafa Nadal.
Exactly. Let's ask her about a different sport, because obviously soccer is the last thing on her mind.
Or the team.
But don't worry. She's happy to get paid watching sports, though. You know, according to her LinkedIn post. So, yeah. And on that note, I think I'm gonna call it a night.
All right, DPG, it's fun spitting fire with you, brother.
Always, man, always. We'll see how it goes out the next couple of games. Of course, if you guys haven't noticed, the Fire eliminated. At this point, it's just worth watching to see who else's dreams we shatter besides our own.
Right.
So, yeah. I guess at this point, you can start looking forward to the off season. Maybe we might just get what we asked for.
But here's the problem, DPG. What if they bring back Georg Heitz?
Oh my! Then it's gonna be the same crap over and over again.
I'm not so disheartened by. Are you disheartened by the idea of bringing back Ezra? If Georg Heitz stays, I'm not disheartened by the idea of Ezra being brought back. I'm disheartened by the fact that Georg Heitz is still here.
Exactly. Like if you get a new GM and he keeps Ezra, that's fine. But if you keep Heights, it's like, oh crap, another a fourth year of this.
It's more than a fourth year. It's a fourth year and more, because it's not just this season. It's not going to be just next season that his tendrils will be felt long after. His greasy, grubby fingers are going to see the stains of Georg Heitz on this team for years to come. And the sooner you remove those grubby paws from the garden and get a better gardener in there, the faster you're going to get some prettier flowers, a better garden, something that's more attractive, something that people want to come out and smell and walk around and be around and enjoy.
Exactly.
And it doesn't even have to be the prettiest or the greatest. It's got to be something worthwhile to visit.
And all I'm going to say is this. If you guys are going to a town hall meeting, ask the hard questions. Don't ask about the grass. Don't ask about the concession stands. Don't ask about the parking. You ask the hard questions. Does Georg Heitz deserve to be here again after 3 years of failure?
And does Joe Mansueto truly care about soccer? The billionaire is the owner of FC Lugano, who's got 3 wins, no draws, and 5 losses. I mean, is he truly an ambitious soccer owner, or is this just another plaything of a billionaire?
Exactly. He's just trying to flip us.
Roman Abramovich, for as bad as you could speak about him, he's a Russian gangster, blah, blah, blah. Dude wanted Chelsea to be the best.
And he got it. And he made it happen.
I don't know about Joe Mansueto. Because the proof's in the pudding, and he wants Georg Heitz to be this general manager. He wants him to keep him here in the circle of suck. and
kind of makes you wonder if Joe Mansueto just bought the Fire so he could talk to his friends at the country club saying, oh yeah, I own a sports team, by the way.
It's his fantasy.
You might have heard.
Yeah, it's his fantasy sports team.
It's like you might have heard of them. They call it the Chicago Fire, and they're probably gonna be like, "What? The TV show? No, the soccer club." You know,
we play at Soldier Field, same place as the Bears used to.
Oh, you guys do? Is that some sort of amateur team? You know,
no, we're professional. Like we're in the biggest league in North America. It's in soccer. Exactly. Wait, you mean Liga MX? No, MLS. I guess not North America, United States.
Exactly. So that's the issue. So again, ask the hard questions at the town hall.
Whether ask the questions of Joe Mansueto. Does he want to treat Chicago Fire like Roman Abramovich treats Chelsea, or does he want to treat Chicago Fire like the Glazers treat Manchester United?
Exactly. Well put right there.
Bam. Somebody asked that question.
But yeah, on that note, I'm calling it a night. Let's see how it goes on Saturday.
DPG, always appreciate you swinging by.
Have a good night, guys.
Later, DPG. Have a great one. That's DPG 10-year plus season ticket holder for Chicago Fire. Spitting some fire. Thanks for joining us. Here, guys, everybody kick that like button. What a conversation. You guys have your 2 cents to add in. Toss it on the fire. Let's go. We got to toss another log on the fire. Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to read your guys' comments. Let us know how you guys feel. All right, guys, I think we're getting close to shut it down. I'm just going to do a quick little recap about fantasy football and who I think is still available. If these people are out in your league, I'm just going to go based on my league. So if you see these guys out there, think about snagging them. And if you need an upgrade, if you need an upgrade at QB, you're sitting there and you're unsure about your quarterback and you're looking at Marcus Mariota, you're looking at Matt Ryan, you're looking at Jared Goff, you're looking at the ghost of Zach Wilson, who's been replaced by Joe Flacco. Go with Marcus Mariota. Just go with Marcus Mariota, 28 years old, young, in control of the Atlanta offense, not going anywhere, not going to be replaced. He's going to be fine. He's also a little more mobile than I think we all realize. He has a little more stronger arm, though, than Matt Ryan, who Matt Ryan replaced Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz has been picked up in a lot of leagues. And Matt Ryan, kind of like that 24th, 25th quarterback off the boards. Does he still have the arm strength? Didn't really look like it. But boy, howdy, does he have the weapons. So that counts for something with Matt Ryan. Jameis Winston, if he's out there, go for him. I like Jameis. He understands this offense even better, even though the old coach is no longer there in New Orleans. I think he will be okay. He's got some great weapons there. Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. He's got some good weapons. Mark Ingram the second is just. And he's also, he's getting, I think he's going to be okay. He's going to be better than we think. He's going to be fantasy viable in a 2-quarterback league, in a super flex league. I'm talking about these deeper leagues, of course. 12-man leagues. I play in a super flex league myself. So these guys are, if you're thinking about reaching, those are probably where you go. Running back. Let's see who's available. James Cook, no. JD McKissick, no. If Alexander Madison's out there, go grab him. If Kenneth Gainwell's out there, I think it's time to go grab him. He's gonna get stronger as the season goes on, and I think Miles Sanders will typically fade, as you know. It's kind of a historical thing. Miles Sanders will go away, and it's going to be the thing that everybody's been predicting for years, the last 2-3 years. So like, oh, it's going to be finally Kenny Gainwell time. Well, guess what? It's finally going to be Kenny Gainwell time here in a few weeks. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, you could grab him now. Rashad White, I don't believe it unless Fournette gets hurt. Tyler Algier, I don't believe it at all. I mean, you guys got to see what Cordell Patterson was doing. He's doing fantastic. Kansas City running back CH came in, and it looks like he's solidified. Stronger than the years past, a little harder to push around. Maybe finally becoming the draft pick that I thought he was last year, which he was a disappointment last year. And this year, maybe he's not. I mean, he did get a touchdown within the 5, although it was a little funky. Chuba Hubbard might be the backup to Christian McCaffrey, but truly watch out for Deonta Foreman. He didn't get a lot of snaps this last weekend, but I kind of think that Deonta Foreman will eventually be the backup running back over Chuba Hubbard. Watch out for that. These are, of course, deep leagues, deep stashes. Let's see who's available for wide receivers. Joshua Palmer, go get him. One of those wide receivers for Chargers will probably fall apart, whether it's Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, of course, already injured, but one of them's going to fall apart a little bit more, and Joshua Palmer will be pretty nice to own. DJ Shark, he might eventually be replaced by the rookie, but hey, he's a veteran, and I don't know if he's going to get replaced by the injured rookie coming off of injury, especially if he's built up a rapport with Jared Goff by then. Jacoby Myers seems like he's the number one guy out in New England, but Mac Jones ain't it right now. He's got weaker arm than your grandma. Rondale Moore, of course, injured with the ACL. Going to be a little hard to start, but if he's playing, play him. He's probably the best. He's probably the best Arizona wide receiver outside of Marquise Brown until DeAndre Hopkins comes back in a couple more weeks here. Robert Woods, I let go. I think it's time to set sail on Robert Woods. Kyle Phillips. Watch out for Kyle Phillips over in Tennessee, along with Treylon Burks running ahead. Kyle Phillips led the team with targets. Is that a one-game thing? Is that just a week one mirage? I don't know. Robert Woods coming off ACL surgery, coming off a lot of other issues, also just looked slower, just looked not as fast as the other guys. Also has to build rapport with Tannehill. You know, this New York Giants quarterback's going to have to throw it to somebody. Is that going to be Sterling Shepard or is it going to be Kenny Galladay? I kind of think it's going to be Sterling Shepard. Watch out for Peoples-Jones in Cleveland. I think he's the wide receiver to own in the Cleveland field. And once the bad guy comes back, week 12, he might even be a little bit more reliable to own. He's actually surprising. He's young. He's got some talent. Peoples-Jones we're talking about. Donovan Peoples-Jones over in Cleveland. And I think that's going to round out my picks for wide receiver. Let's see if there's any defenses to stream. Ravens versus Miami. I'll take the Ravens all the time. Giants versus Carolina. No. Eagles versus Minnesota. No. Jets versus Cleveland. Yes. I'll take the Jets defense versus Cleveland. Washington Commanders versus Detroit. I actually might take that too. Think about that. Arizona Cardinals, stay away. They're horrible defense. Horrible defense. They're going to be in shootouts all season long. All right, chat. I think it's going to do it for Fantasy Corner. Thanks for joining us here on Spitfire. Thanks for watching the stream. Greatly appreciate you guys swinging by, talking in the chat, and keeping us interactive. And it's an interesting correlation with the Fire being a billionaire and also the home FC. Oh, yeah, we read that. Thank you for joining us here, everybody in the chat. And yes, Archduke, everybody, thank you guys for joining us. See you guys next time. Have a good one, everybody. Fire up, footballers. See you guys on the next stream. And we'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Later. Yeah. Kick it. Let's go. Oh, thanks.